just an opinion thing. Um, when I went back and I was doing some research really on about TV from 1982, I noticed that movies of the week were a huge thing in 1982.
Mm-hmm.
Very special movie of the week.
No, but I mean, every network had their movie, their movie. And I don't mean after school specials. I mean, movie of the week.
No. And in fact, you're going to love this because one of the biggest movies of the week, and it does not hold up, was on CBS. It was called Mazes and Monsters, and it was based on a best-selling novel at the time. And this was in the middle of the satanic panic of around Dungeons and Dragons. And we do a whole segment on mazes and monsters. And I think the only thing that is memorable about that is that Tom Hanks starred it. It's terrible. I mean, it's just terrible. And but it was attempting to deal with the whole D&D phenomena. I think it was Rona Jaffe who wrote it. And I don't know how the book, I never read the book, but yes, I mean, it was the age of the TV movie because it was the time of 3 networks. And the studios were all making these cheap made for TV movies. It's not that different than now, except they weren't spending much on them. But there are a couple of really great TV movies, not necessarily from 82, and I'm not talking about the miniseries. People still remember like Shogun and Winds of War, the great miniseries, but the TV movies, I mean, a couple still stand the test of time. The Night Stalker from the 70s. I love this little esoteric one called the Columbo guys did called Murder by Natural Causes with Hal Holbrook. I mean, so that, obviously people remember The Boy in the Plastic Bubble because it was the big breakthrough role for John Travolta. But yeah, TV movies were big. They all had, tonight on the ABC Sunday night movie. And those were often theatricals, but sometimes they'd be original TV movies. And CBS had them and NBC had them and people watched them and they were huge. I mean, the funny thing is, given the 3 networks on broadcast, more people were watching those TV movies, than are, watching blockbusters in a theater now. Something like V, the miniseries, which came out in 83. I mean, if as many people paid for that as paid for Independence Day, it probably would have even made more money than Independence Day.
Probably.
Yeah.
The Police Squad came out that year too on TV, which inspired the Naked Gun movies, and that was short-lived, but it had a big footprint. And then obviously Cheers was, it's huge. And Family Ties is a show people don't talk about much, but that was so much in the cultural conversation because like Michael J. Fox was a conservative and he was the son of, liberal parents who had been, in the 60s, pretty much hippies. And I mean, everyone, and this was the Reagan era, everybody was talking about Family Ties. It was a huge show on NBC. Yeah. And then you had the Raiders of the Lost Ark ripoffs, Tales of the Gold Monkey and Bring It Back Alive, which are both equally not great. Or at least compared to Raiders of the Lost Ark. But, that was the era of, taking a popular movie and trying to turn it into a TV series. And most of the time that never worked. I mean, a lot of times they adapted the movies like the Bad News Bears TV series or Foul Play or, other than MASH, there aren't a lot of examples of TV shows that were based on a movie that worked.
Yeah. Well, Alice, the only one.
Yeah, Alice is a great example. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.